The question posed is, how might education mediate difference and dominance? Today I'm going to be talking with you about dominance dependent on location, focusing on Indigenous and non-Indigenous school student enrolments, particularly in Queensland. The dominance of non-Indigenous students in city school locations rather than rural and remote schools, which are classified according to distance from major cities, is clear through student numbers and the minimal Indigenous enrolments in these locations. Some city schools may not have any Indigenous students enrolled at all. But in contrast, in the rural and remote school locations with higher Indigenous numbers in comparison, and some schools that are majority Indigenous students, where the dominance in numbers shifts to the minority group, although there are not a lot of these schools where the dominance is of the Indigenous students. Most of these schools are located in far northern Queensland and northern Queensland regions. Dominance through numbers within the different locations decides who the others are and who the dominant group is within the particular schools. With this in mind, I propose to you a question. How can we ensure interactions between Indigenous and non-Indigenous students are positive and community building, regardless of who the dominant group is and what location they live in? Or in other words, how can we bring together all students, despite the difference of skin colour, to build strong communities and a strong country? To address this within a classroom, an activity could look at individual strengths of the students to allow students the opportunity to make note of the positive things they have to offer others. Then look at their school and the positives the school has to offer them, the students, and also the wider community. Then to build on this further, take note of and discuss the positive things within their own community or town. From this activity, students could create a community activity or event to bring together students and community members to build on the positives and enhance community building. For example, art sessions learning about Indigenous art, or community gardens including native plants. Another classroom activity to allow the students to experience difference in a positive way could be to link two schools together. For example, a city school with minimal Indigenous enrolments and a school with higher Indigenous student numbers, and have a pen pal letter exercise where the students can communicate with each other and learn about the differences and similarities with their pen pal and the other school by asking questions, telling stories and recounting events and activities. Then to build on this exercise, the school could teleconference to allow school live interactions for the students, and further the schools could organise camps to bring both schools together to give the students the opportunity to experience the different schools and communities with the other students. To look at diversity, focusing on Indigenous culture, there is already a celebration week in our country, NAIDOC Week, National Aboriginal and Islander Day of Celebration. The opportunity could be taken up more widely across Australia in every single school to teach students of the history of Indigenous culture and to teach acceptance and tolerance to all students for the differences we all have in one way or another. Through teaching tolerance and acceptance of each other, regardless of culture, heritage or skin colour, the concept of dominance and minority can begin to be broken down. NAIDOC Day and the opportunity for discussion that comes with it needs to be encouraged, not only with the students at school, but also their families and extended community members. And schools could be good facilitators for a neutral environment for the wider community to take part in activities and discussions to allow positive interactions for all community members to build acceptance and tolerance while experiencing and sharing Indigenous culture. Another possibility to experience difference and diversity of Indigenous culture is to have Indigenous people visit schools. All schools, not just the ones with small Indigenous enrolments. and share stories to teach the students about Indigenous history and how life used to be for Aboriginals and Islanders, and show artefacts, pictures, photographs, paintings, and share bush tucker. Also, the students could learn Indigenous songs and dances and the meaning behind them. These activities would be fun, interactive, and inclusive to all students, and allow opportunity for positive interactions between cultures, discussions, and learning experiences. So, how can education mediate difference and dominance with regard to Indigenous and non-Indigenous students and dominance within schools? And how can we bring together all students to build a strong country? By teaching acceptance and tolerance. Through this, we can begin to break down dominance and minority and move towards equality.